What would you do to truly be free? How high are you willing to climb to define your legacy? The problems that confront Black America today cannot be solved by just protesting. The problems that confront Black America today cannot be solved by just wishing and hoping. A problem without a solution only brings chaos. So I stand before you today to present options for our legacy. We have the option to build our own business empires. We have the option to develop our own cities. We have the option to create our own economic freedom. I know the mountain of obstacles purposely placed before us seems insurmountable. I know the racial wealth gap today is as wide as it was during the Civil Rights Movement. I know African Americans are incarcerated at a rate 5 times greater than white Americans. I know our journey in America started as slaves, and our people still suffer from economic bondage. To get something we've never had, we must do something we have never done. Today's technology provides unprecedented access to start an economic revolution for all those willing to make the climb to define a new legacy. The time has come for all of us to learn how to financially invest in ourselves so that we will be collectively prepared to invest in our future. Economic liberation for people of color is now. We must not wait any longer. It is our fundamental responsibility to make it happen. I challenge you to financially invest in yourself. I challenge you to financially invest in your family's future. I challenge you to invest in your community. I challenge you to elevate your mind. This is not a challenge you will enter alone. We will be there with you every step of the way. Economic liberation is the solution for the problems that confront Black America today. Investing should be bigger than you. When you're looking at the world and you're only thinking of the impact that it's going to have on you, the risks you take are vastly different than if you were thinking about your family, your mother, your brother, your sister. The calculated risks that you're willing to take are different. You become wiser and smarter when you're thinking of things from a holistic standpoint instead of just self-centered. As you begin to actually transition to that point of investing in yourself, we begin to look at the world a little bit differently. Whether you're still working your 9-to-5 job or even your side hustle, the fact that we have money working for us now that's actually producing returns becomes extra motivation. That money becomes impactful and it begins to have you think about the world in a different way as far as what you could do when you get deeper into this game. Shifting your mindset from working for your money constantly and trying to value time or gauge what your time value is to investing, when you see the returns that you get from just your knowledge in the game, you begin to look at the world from a different scope and saying, my brain power can drive the actual impact that I can have on my family or my community. The knowledge that you have about what you've studied, the economic atmosphere, the company's financial breakdown, what their products or what their service is going to do, that knowledge is what's going to allow you to pick winners. The deeper we get into the weeds as far as what our fundamentals are, really, that's where we begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel, where we can begin to predict what's going to happen. Now, sometimes those things change. Your strategy can change on a daily, can change on a weekly, can change on a monthly. It is going to change. You have to be constantly bringing in knowledge so that you're ready to make pivots and changes to whatever needs to be done. A lot of times, a lot of us are going to begin with one position and we're going to hold it long term. That doesn't mean that we're not studying. Even if it's an ETF, we need to understand what those positions are doing. Acquiring constant knowledge of what that company's doing from a fundamental standpoint and even a technical standpoint is what's going to get you to understanding what type of returns to expect out of it. And those returns are what's going to lay the foundation and the groundwork for how you want to build your legacy. The only way to attack the fear of failure of getting into the market, because a lot of us, especially our elders, they believe that everything can be washed away if you don't know what you're doing in the market, which is true, but that's why you study. The only way to attack a fear of anything is to begin to understand it. If you're at a place where you're on the fence about if you want to become an investor, if you want to build that legacy for you or your family, you have to begin to say, what are the things that I need to learn? Don't just dive in and begin to gamble with your value points. You have to think about, what do I need to know in order to become successful, in order to reach the returns that I want? Understanding is how we conquer fear. If I understand something, I don't need to fear it anymore. I simply need to know its formula and how I can navigate around it. There will be ups, there will be downs, and that's life. But understanding that that's life is how you build the most successful life. You cannot underestimate the power of knowledge when it comes to investing. Knowledge, as they say, is quite literally essential to becoming a great investor or a dope investor, as Mark would tell us. We have to be in a constant state of learning, and a lot of that is because we don't have a crystal ball for this market. We don't know what's going to happen. So in order to try to see something before it happens, you have to have a greater understanding of where the world is going. You have to see a future, and the only way you could do that is having a great understanding of the present and what that best future would look like. So putting yourself in a constant state of learning is a mentality. You're reading all the time. You're studying your technicals all the time. You're looking at the graphs all the time. This becomes fun to you. This is a playbook for you. None of this should be boring or put you in a state where I don't want to do this. You're literally crafting what it's going to take to be successful so that nobody in your family has to work again. And that mindset has to be centered around, how do I build enough knowledge so that I can pass it on to the next generation with the wealth necessary that they'll need to be successful. As you accomplish these steps along the way, you begin to learn everything that you need to learn. You begin to create your own neural network of how you're going to navigate through this matrix we call the market. And you begin to see success. You begin to see those 3x returns, 5x returns, 10x returns. Now you begin to see a bigger picture. The money that you're going to make, or the value that you're going to gain from that, allows you to see what you could do in reality. Now you can not only participate in the market, but you could go out and invest in other things that you want to bring to life that may be your passion. For me, that's filmmaking. When we find those things, we have a greater impact on the world around us, because now you've developed a skill set so that you can move from being an investor to being an entrepreneur to being a business empire builder. That's a totally different level of thinking, with investing being our starting ground, investing in self, investing in businesses that we want to be a part of, and investing in empires that we want to build, that's what's going to change the way we see the world and the way that we function in the world and the world that we're building for future generations.